Squeezed garment factories use check cashing services to mask true wages, workers say. After a week of 10-hour days folding and packaging clothing, Francisco Moreno walked out of the factory in downtown Los Angeles on a recent Monday afternoon to collect his $450 in wages. Holding a personal check, with no required deductions, he went to a white, unmarked van parked nearby. His cash was dispensed from a small window in the back. Vans like this, showing up outside LA. Garment factories are another twist for bottom-rung workers. And they are another tactic for factory owners to disguise payments less than the legal minimum wage, say employees, advocates, and an official for the U.S. Labor Department. It is a scheme to weaken a wage theft case, and essentially escape accountability, said Mariela Martinez, an organizer at the Garment Workers Center, an advocacy group based in Los Angeles. When you're paying through this check cashing system, there is no record of the hours worked. Paychecks for these workers often aren't official, and thus can't be tracked through the financial system by authorities looking for wrongdoing. Some of the checks, like Moreno's, could be cashed at banks but don't come with deductions for disability or unemployment insurance, which are required for all employees under California law. Other checks contain so little official information that they can't even be processed by banks. Sometimes they list fewer hours than were actually worked, to make the week's pay appear to meet minimum wage requirements. In some cases, the payments are merely vouchers, cashable only at the vans parked outside factories or check cashing storefronts. It is illegal for an employer to require workers to cash their paychecks at a company that collects a fee, according to a U.S. Department of Labor official. Several workers interviewed by The Times said they were directed by their bosses to go to specific check cashers to collect their pay. Underpayment in the garment industry has long been a problem. Competition from China, Bangladesh, and other Southeast Asian countries has squeezed Los Angeles clothes makers, who are paid so little by large retailers that they can't afford to pay the minimum wage, lawyers for workers and the government say. Many factories have closed, and remaining owners say they'll be hard-pressed to survive as California's wage floor, which rose to $10 in January from $8 in 2013, climbs to $15 in 2022. If they get caught paying less than the legal minimum, factory owners can face stiff fines. Worker advocates allege that the garment companies often don't have the cash on hand to pay workers at the end of the week. They say the manufacturers have forged informal relationships with check cashing companies, which dispense the money through storefront operations and other means and get paid back later by factory owners. Several check cashing companies did not respond to requests to comment on their relationship with garment companies. A representative for Angel Check Cashing acknowledged operating the van where Moreno cashed his check but would not comment further. Chong Choi, the owner, declined to comment. The company, which also operates a storefront in downtown Los Angeles, has an active permit through the State Justice Department to operate as a check cashing company. Several employees of Angel refused to say whether they had a business relationship with garment factories. A sign on the wall of the store itself notes in Spanish that if people want to cash a check from a prior week of work, it's necessary that your bosses call so that they can authorize cashing the check. Check cashing vans are not illegal. California law allows check cashing companies to operate a vehicle, with a permit from the Department of Motor Vehicles. The storefront's permits must be renewed every year, and the operations cannot charge more than 3.5% to process government or payroll checks. But employers requiring workers to pay a fee to collect their wages at check cashing companies can be illegal, a federal lawyer said. "We always consider that an illegal deduction," said Susan Seletsky, a lawyer at the U.S. Department of Labor.Ilse Metchek, president of the California Fashion Association. An industry group said she has heard of the practice among small businesses that make clothes. But she said that most garment factories do not pay their workers with illegitimate checks. "We have a huge underground of this industry," she said. "It's just one of the many ways that the underground operates." One former check cashing official said he had never heard of such practices in the industry. "Whether it's legal or it isn't legal, I wouldn't be part of it. I don't think it's appropriate," said Tom Nix, who founded Nix Check Cashing, one of the largest check cashing company in Southern California, and then sold the company to Connect, a federal credit union, for $45 million in 2007. "You are participating with someone who is clearly not following the law," Nix said. Nix said his company stayed away from personal checks because of the high risk that those payments wouldn't clear a bank, and instead processed only government and payroll checks. He said that companies processing checks with missing information or vouchers were an aberration. He defended the use of check cashing services in general, saying that they play a vital role in the financial lives of the poor. "There is a need in lower-income communities for check cashing services that banks don't fill," Nix said. Seletsky said the Labor Department had looked into the use of check cashers by garment bosses who underpay workers. She noted that the department cannot take enforcement action against subsidiaries like check cashing companies, which do not actually determine pay. "That's another way to take cash and move it from one party to another party without it ever getting into the system," Seletsky said. Rampant wage theft in Southern California has spurred the Labor Department to launch a spate of investigations into garment factories, uncovering $11.7 million in stolen compensation for workers in the region over the last 5 years.